Hello, hello, hi, folks. welcome. Happy Saturday. In hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. Welcome. I am Sean Azimi with SideGigSean.com. Can you guys see me and hear me okay? Hey, Jenny, how are you? Welcome. I know you're gonna love this one. But can you hear me okay? I had to turn on my phone again. Hello. Can you hear me and see me okay? Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Perfect. Yes. So I have a great one for you tonight. This is going to be very different. Well, so many of my lives have been, but this is going to be very different than what you have heard in the past. Oh, that's quite all right. You'll actually like last night, so go check it out. I'm pretty sure you'll get a kick out of it. But so in the world of personal development and in the world of network marketing, in the world of entrepreneurship, all this stuff, you oftentimes hear leaders will tell you, you don't want to compare yourself with that guy, or you don't want to compare yourself with that guy. They've been doing it for so long, or you don't know their story, or you don't want to compare. Who has heard this before? You don't want to compare your page 1 to somebody's page 100, or obviously you can change the pages but oh, you already did see it. Okay, cool. Who's heard that before, right? You can't compare your page 1 to somebody else's page 100 because they've been doing this for such longer time, and blah blah blah. And for the longest time I went with that, like in a lot of different places, not just in network marketing and here. I went with that, but I just didn't like it, I don't know why. I can't tell you, okay, well, from day one, I heard this and I'm like, I don't like it because of this. I can't tell you that because it actually made sense in the beginning. In the beginning, it made complete sense. It's like, why would I compare my first page to somebody else's page 100? I already know that, they've been doing this for longer and blah, blah, blah. So why would I compare that, right? And so, and if you take that to other places, you can compare your status to other people. You can compare your car to other people. You can compare where you live, the kind of purse or wallet that you carry, or the kind of phone you have. All kinds of stuff. You can compare all kinds of stuff with somebody else's. The neighbor, if you would, the coworker, if you would, or the friend. All you can compare. You can compare all day, every day. And probably 9.9999 out of times, it's not something that's gonna get you like inspired and get you like moving like crazy, right? It's nothing that's gonna put a fire under your butt, right? It actually may be even coming from envy, and so that's a, yeah. But so oftentimes you hear, you don't want to compare yourself. Now, I think maybe it was about a couple years ago. I think a couple years ago, I brought up this idea that, hey, it's okay to compare yourself. Totally okay. And I don't think I had many followers. Actually, it was maybe about 3 years ago. Now that I think about it, it was, I don't know. But I didn't get a whole lot on that because I just wasn't really like popular, or I wasn't really out there yet. Team Money. So I'm gonna share this thought with you that is probably gonna be very different than what you've heard. I know you haven't heard this before. unless you were on that live or watched it, there's just I would really be surprised if you've heard this before. So here it is. Comparing. We all are different and in different places in our journey. Yes. So comparing. So people compare based on two bases, right? They compare one. They compare, and what do? They compare and complain, right? You compare yourself to this guy next to you, and then what do? You start complaining. Right after you comparing, whether you know it or not, whether you're conscious of it or not, right after you compare, you are going to be complaining. Maybe subconsciously, maybe out loud, you're going to say, and that's going to cause what? Jealousy, right? So you're going to be complaining. You're going to compare. It's like, what do I have that this guy doesn't have? Why does he have to drive that car and I don't, right? And then you start complaining immediately. Well, this guy's got this, right? So immediately after comparing, you start complaining. And I think that's not a good thing. That's not how you want to use comparison to your advantage, right? But I will give you this. There is a way that you can use comparison to your advantage, and I think you should. Not only there is a way, but I think you really actually should use it. So when I was in the mortgage industry, when I was like fired up about the mortgage industry, let's just say that, because I was in the mortgage industry for a long time, but there was only a very few period of time that I was just really fired up about everything, right? That kind of sales environment. So when I was in that environment, I always, when I went into a new office, I looked for their number one person. Okay, I know I'm not that way anymore. Okay, I promise you, I'm gonna drive this home. But I mean, we're talking about 500-600 agents on the floor. I mean, very competitive floor. I mean, we're talking like, very competitive, right? So I would ask for their number one agent. And I did this with two big companies that I walked into. Actually, four companies. Four companies. That's funny. So I walk in and I go, who's your number one? And they tell me this is the guy or this is the girl in one case. And I said, you tell them I'm coming for them. I'm coming for them. And I wouldn't be just hype. I actually would get there, right? And this is just to impress upon you. I'm going to tell you why. Now, this environment is completely different. Because I really sucked in this environment. Let me tell you, that kind of sales mentality, it doesn't work in network marketing and direct sales and building teams and being there for people. That is not the formula. So, but here's what I did though. I compared myself. I compared myself all the time. In fact, I compared myself to their number one agent or whatever all the time. Every month. If I weren't number one, it was usually between me and like two other people, right? If it weren't me, it was those guys. Or if it weren't them, it was usually me, right? So I would compare myself all the time. But I wouldn't be complaining. When they would win, I'd be ticked off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be ticked off because I'm very competitive, but I wouldn't be complaining. I wouldn't be like, oh, you know, but I would compare myself. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, you can compare to complain, or you can compare to compete. And that's a big difference. See, a healthy competition is a great thing. Healthy, not based on envy, but based on pushing each other, in getting inspiration off of each other, right? So when you see your neighbor doing better, if you're like, well, I'm the neighbor, I live next door. It's not like I live in another planet. I live next door. So if I'm going to compare, well, what are they doing? How are they doing it? If you have that competitive nature in you, or you have that in you that you want to always improve or grow, and you see that as a growth, right? Remember, it's not based on envy. So if you see that as growth, right? So you can compare yourself. You can compare if it's compare to compete, which means what? Now, on my profile, I have not like fake it till you may make it, or I don't know, well, what else is out there right now, but I say practice as if, right? Practice as if you were the neighbor. What does that mean? Do what the neighbor is doing. I mean, that's comparing. You're like, okay, well, I compare because I'm going to compete, because I'm going to practice as if, because I want to grow. I want to do better. Right? Are you with me here? Who's here? Who's not here? Hi, Layla John. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Not girl, woman. So I'm not sure what's going on right now in the chats, but who's here? Who's not here? Welcome, welcome. If you're a first timer, welcome, welcome. So does that make? Is that good? Do you agree with that? Do you feel me? Drop some love, hate, comments in the chat. But yeah, so if you compared, if you're gonna compare and complain all day long and just compare and complain, what good is that? That's, you might as well not compare. Yeah, every leader that tells you don't compare, don't get into comparitis, oh my goodness, comparitis. You know what I mean? Why can't I? Is that right? Comparitis. Why does that sound weird? But don't get into that. Yeah, absolutely, because you're gonna be complaining right after. You're gonna be right. But if you compare yourself, you're like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. That's a good thing. Not based on envy, but based on growth. You're like, if they can do it, I can do it. And that's why when I went to every company, like not every company, but these big companies, that when I was on fire, I would literally walk in, and some of you actually have actually worked with me in one of those offices. I would walk in, and they would have a roster, right, of who did what the last month, right, or the rankings for every quarter. I would, in one company, I went there and took the first person's name, and I crossed it off. This is just me first day, you know, and then I wrote my name right next to his name, and I gave it back to the recruiter. Because they said, why should we hire you? And that was my answer. I said, do you have a roster of the people that, like, you know, the rankings? So yeah. So he prints it out, gives it to me, boom, right there, and I take the first person's name and I just cross it off, put my name, and I give it right back to him. I go, that's the reason why. You tell him I'm coming for him. That was it. I compared myself, and I studied that guy. I studied that guy every day, and he knew, right? We compared to compete. We became really good friends, but we compared to compete all the time, right? And I feel like if you base it on that, not out of envy, be careful, because it's a very fine line you can fall right in, right? So if you base your comparison not on envy, but on growth, right? And compare to compete, which means if they can do it, so can I, which means all these people that have done it with worse situations than you have paved the way. If they can do it, I can do it. Compare to compete as growth, right? That's a great thing. That's a win-win situation. So I hope you guys got some love, some inspiration, some value from this live. I appreciate you guys. I think there was a lag in the comments. Wait, hold on. I got them now. Making enemies. I refuse to do with the neighbors. Oh no, we don't actually. Nobody wants Todd to do anything that the neighbor does. This neighbor is yeah. Anyway. Hopefully you guys got some love, some inspiration, some value from this. Drop your thoughts, your comments, your feedback below. If you feel like this was worthy of sharing, do what you got to do. Spread the love. And yeah, and I am Sean Azimi signing off with SideGigSean.com. And until tomorrow, when we do it all over.